Ladies and gentlemen, greetings from Somerville. This is an away game. An away game. I am not in my own space, and I'm not on my own equipment. I am on a nice sound system here. As I say, away game because I am visiting my friend James. Say hi to everyone, James.
Hello. How you doing?
Now, James is not his real name. We are using an anonymous, a pseudonym, if you will.
Yes, I am not in witness protection.
Not but you might sound like it. I heard a light sampling of. I'm so glad I'm not listening to your voice right now because it made me laugh so much that it would be hard to hear you.
I don't know what you're talking
Yeah, the distorted voice. We'll get to the reasons why, but we have quite a topic today. Perhaps the most power-packed, interesting, exciting topic we've had on the podcast. And
about. Wow, I'm flattered.
yeah, well, if you've looked at some of the subjects from the past, it's not saying much. But polyamory is the subject of the day.
Yes.
Now, James and I have known each other for a while, and polyamory, I had to look up, actually. Well, let me tell the story how we even got into this. James, I know, was seeing a woman, a long-distance relationship, and then one day I ran into him, and he was with another woman, and I said, well, that's interesting, and I didn't say anything. But when I saw him again by himself, I queried, is that, I guess the other one is not so serious, or are you guys just still seeing other people? And you said, James, the word?
I said polyamory. I said, yeah, I'm actually polyamorous.
Polyamorous. And I agreed and said, wow, very cool. And then ran to the bathroom and Googled it to see what it meant. Poly, from the Latin meaning many,
Yes.
and amory, meaning love.
Yes,
So-
absolutely correct.
By classic definition, I know in the modern day age, people have different definitions of what it is for them, but by classic definition is to love more than one person, to many people, to be in a romantic relationship with more than one person.
Yep.
Now, as a nervous Irish Catholic who went to 8 years of Catholic school, and I mean, this just blew my mind. I'm blushing as we're talking about it.
He is, actually, for those of you that,
This is insane.
yes, at home.
I can't even keep one woman happy. I cannot imagine being in a relationship with more than one woman. Let's start from the beginning. How did you even get into polyamory?
Well, first of all of this, these are, the umbrella term for all of this is non-monogamy.
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 That I've heard of. Yes.
And non-monogamy kind of covers a wide range of things. There's, swinging, there's polyamory, and various shades of in between.
Right.
A lot of people come to polyamory from swinging or from other forms of non-monogamy. Non-monogamy just really means what it is. It's like you've heard maybe the term monogamish. I don't know if you've heard Dan Savage, the podcaster,
Yeah.
has coined a term. Like, it's like for those people who are mostly monogamous, but maybe occasionally they like give a hall pass or something,
Okay.
and that's kind of monogamish.
It's like the 80-20 rule. Like, you wear 80% of your clothes or 20% of your clothes 80% of the time. Like, you're mostly committed to something.
Yeah.
Once in a while.
Yeah, and
We used to call that cheating back in
well,
what is the difference then
so
between
the term, a very popular term in all of this is consensual non-monogamy or ethical non-monogamy.
Gotcha.
And basically the difference between that and cheating is that it's done without any lying. There's no secrets. Everyone knows about it. It's consensual. It's permitted. It's allowed. That sort of thing.
Gotcha.
So ultimately, polyamory is an extension of that, where in addition to just having sex, you actually are allowed and want to have more emotional connection with your partner.
Right.
And some people.
So it's not random strangers. It's not. I mean, it's someone you're in a relationship with.
Yeah, it's really no different than monogamy. It's just that
There's more than one of them.
yeah. So
it's like having more than one girlfriend, essentially.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
From my point of view.
Yeah. And again, different people do it different ways. There's no one way that people do it, generally speaking. But and some people do practice what some people call hierarchical, which is like, I have a primary relationship, which, like in my marriage, that was me and my wife. We have this life that we've built together, and it's completely everything that you're used to in a normal relationship.
Sure.
And then maybe you have a secondary partner as well that maybe you see once a week, or maybe they're like, like a girlfriend would be,
Pick up your dry cleaning and.
Yeah.
Now I could use one of those. A little help with some of the errands.
Different people do it different ways. And there are some people that live, like many people in the same household or the same area where they're like, they do have that kind of a relationship, or, they have,
it's like a team.
Yeah. And they raise kids together, and it's a whole thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now tell us how you got started.
I was monogamous, and I was married, and it was actually my wife and I started swinging.
Wow.
Yeah.
And not dance classes.
And not dance classes. And for the record, it wasn't my idea.
Oh, really?
I did not start this.
Okay.
But long story short, we were listening to another podcast about this.
Okay.
About swinging per se. And again, it wasn't because we were like researching it. It was just like, hey, this sounds like a fun, sexy podcast. Let's check this out.
All right.
A long drive kind of thing. And by the end of the drive, she was like, yeah, I think we should go check out one of these clubs.
So a podcast about swinging got you and your wife at the time into swinging.
Yeah.
That's the power and influence of these podcasts?
Yes.
I have to start taking on much bigger topics here. I didn't know we could do that.
Yeah. So
how did you respond to that? What do you say?
I was like, okay. What do you say to that?
I don't know.
I mean, like I said, I'm not a jealous person, and so the thought of it didn't freak me out like it might a lot of people.
Okay.
But I really didn't know what it was about. I
was gonna say, what even did it entail?
I hadn't really researched it. Like it was literally, I was just kind of a whim that we were listening to this thing, and so
was there a certain part of that podcast that made her say, "Oh, I like the sound of that"? Was it?
I don't know specifically, or if there was, I don't remember it. It was just sort of a cumulative thing of like, so basically this particular podcast, I don't know if I should name it or not, but if so, you can put it in later or something. But
I don't think it's important. I don't want my girlfriend to hear it.
So in this podcast, it's a couple who goes to these clubs or goes out on, hangs out with another couple or whatever.
Okay.
And then they come home and they tell you all about it. Like they're, hey, this is like, you're their best friend, and like, oh, this is what happened.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Go to a club, you meet someone else, you leave with that person.
Right. And so they're like, and then we went back and we did this and this and this and this, and it was kind of titillating, it was exciting. And so I think it was just intriguing to her.
Yeah.
And I was not like saying, oh, well, maybe if she listens to this, then she'll want to do. It wasn't like that.
Yeah.
It was honestly, it was just like, hey, maybe we'll, have a good time when we get home, kind of thing,
Well, I would be the opposite. I would, if someone I was with, I said, what am I doing wrong at home? Am I not really getting the job done?
Oh, you mean like if she suggested we go to this?
Yeah.
No.
Because there's a missing link here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was just thinking that like we were listening to the podcast just because I was like, oh, this is some sexy talk and it'll get us going, and then when we get home we'll have some, But so when I was not expecting her to go, I think we should go check one of these places out, and I was like, okay. So we did eventually. I think it was a couple months later. I kind of just let it go and just like, okay, whatever.
Right.
But then she did some research and was like,
as women will do.
And hey, let's go on this night. I'm like, okay.
Guess we're doing this.
So we went, and we were like,
what did you wear?
Just jeans and a button-down shirt, like normal life kind of stuff. And it was, without getting in too far into that, it was, you walked in and we were both like, okay, what the hell are we doing?
It's got to be an intense scene.
Yeah. I mean, it was like, I looked over and I was like, okay, I'll give it 15 minutes.
All right.
And we'll go. And then, after, we had a drink and kind of relaxed, like, okay, well, let's just kind of ride this out and see where it goes. Like, we don't have to do anything.
Okay. Yeah.
Anyway, long story short, we did end up meeting a couple that night, and we did end up going and doing stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
Separately from each other?
No.
Okay.
No, together.
Oh, okay.
Together, yeah.
All four of you.
Yeah, and swinging in particular tends to be more of a together activity. Like the couple does it together.
Got you.
Not to say entirely has to be, but generally speaking, it's usually like a couple goes out, sees another couple, whatever,
Right.
stuff like that.
Right.
So
Let's go home and play Yahtzee.
if you guys could see the look on Michael's face right now,
I am.
this is a side of me we've never spoken of,
sitting
really.
on a red couch, and I am more crimson than the couch.
So yeah, so we're so we did that sort of thing for a while, and that's and that could be a whole nother podcast
I
if you
gotta
want
say, I think we
to.
have a series.
Um,
Oh my goodness. What was your first polyamorous relationship?
we had gone to a place that's essentially like Club Med for swingers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
So
Like one of those hedonisms,
yeah,
Yeah, okay.
very similar to that. And
but
he
specifically for swingers.
yeah. But on this trip, there were also people who considered themselves polyamorous.
Okay.
And so that was the first time I had ever really met anyone that practiced that. And so I was like, well, what's that about?
Right.
And they're like, well, basically, just like what I described, we have we are developing more emotional connection than someone who's swinging, who might just be like, we're going to have this encounter and
Right.
then
And then it's over.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
So so that was how we were at this place, and then we met some people that did that sort of thing, and we didn't act on it. We weren't like, oh yeah, this is totally what we want to do.
Right.
But then eventually someone that I met through swinging actually contacted my wife without talking to me about it ahead of time.
All right.
And she knew her, they knew each other, but she said, hey, I don't know what this really looks like at all, because I haven't done this either, but I kind of want your husband to be my boyfriend.
Called your wife
Yeah.
and said, can your husband be my boyfriend?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We are not in Kansas anymore.
No.
I'm sure it happens there too.
So it happens more places than you think.
This has been an education already.
Yeah. So that was how that went, and she was like, oh well, this person lived far away, so she was like, yeah, how bad could it be? We're already
Right.
sharing, so it wasn't that much of a stretch.
Okay.
She figured, oh,
What
we'll
was
talk
your
on the
feeling?
phone.
Were you excited? Were you?
Well, the thing is that when you're swinging, you don't necessarily have a connection, but I like to connect with people. I
Yeah.
do, and so I was very interested in this girl. I thought she was great.
Right.
And so I was excited at that possibility, but I left it completely up to my wife. I was like, you can decide.
Right. Smart man.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that for me, the only reason any of this was possible was because my marriage was so strong, and it was in a really good place, and we trusted each other, and I wouldn't
The
have.
marriage is now over, correct?
Yes.
Just
Yes. Yes, but I don't blame polyamory for
Okay.
that.
Okay. Just want to make
Yeah.
sure we're talking about the same.
Yeah, but that is a common question. You're like, well, of course you guys broke up because of that. No, it wasn't.
No, not.
That wasn't that. Yeah. But
Right.
Anyway.
And she calls the shot. I'm just teasing you.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
calls the shots. And you say what? Then do you drive how far distance to go on a date with this girl?
Well, it was really just mostly, talking on the phone, and I think.
Like high school days back, on
Yeah.
the phone. And
Yeah. So I mean, it was long. So it was basically like that. We didn't actually end up seeing each other all that much. I think.
Okay.
I mean, that only lasted probably, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 months. It wasn't a long time, and I think during that time we probably actually saw each other in the flesh maybe 4 or 5 times at the most.
Okay.
It wasn't a lot.
Weird to leave your wife like the first time? Be like, all right, honey.
Well, let's see. So by that time we had done some like separate room play and things
Okay.
like that.
Okay.
So, but as far as like, leaving, the thing was every relationship has agreements, and when
I would
you're,
imagine you'd have to, like you say, have to have a pretty strong relationship, good communication. I mean, to do something like this, you'd have to have that foundation. Yeah.
you have to have good communication, and you have to have firm commitment to your agreements.
Yeah, I would think.
And so, at that time, our agreements changed, over time. But at that time, she didn't want me to stay over with anyone, so I came home
Right.
to her, and
even better, you don't have to sleep in some random bed. This is great.
well, it can be, yeah, it could be. So
My
yeah,
dream.
it was, as exciting and titillating as it all is, day-to-day polyamory is pretty dull.
Yeah.
It's pretty like unexciting. The most exciting part of it that's different from a regular relationship is that you spend a lot more time communicating. Like making sure that you're on the same page and you're
Okay.
connecting and you're checking in with each other a lot more.
Okay.
And so in that way I find that polyamory is very healthy,
Yeah.
because I feel like if people who are monogamous approached their monogamous relationship with the same effort that I think polyamorous people do,
Right.
I think they'd have better
You
relationships.
have as much except for okay. That makes a lot of sense. How many women are you seeing now? Is that the right word? Seeing, dating,
Seeing, yeah. Currently,
polyamoring.
polyamoring. Yeah,
How
I-
poly are you?
I currently have 2 partners.
2 partners. And is there a primary? Is there a main?
There currently is not a primary, but that is something that I still subscribe to. Like I think that ultimately I may want a primary,
Okay.
but it just kind of
The main squeeze.
yeah, and I think that's again two schools of thought on that. Some people don't want to have a hierarchy. Some people think, oh, I want everyone to be equal.
Right.
And some people want, no, I want my core relationship, or what some people say, my nesting relationship.
Okay.
And then your other secondary relationships, or some people don't like the term, primary and secondary because
Sounds like one's lesser or something.
yeah, and
okay.
that's the thing is that I feel like everyone deserves as much respect as you can give them, but also a saying that you hear in polyamory a lot is that love is infinite, but time is not.
That's okay.
And so the challenge of polyamory oftentimes is not like, I feel like I give 100% of my heart to all of my partners,
right.
which some people can't wrap their head around. But I do. I feel like I'm 100% with you and I'm 100% with you.
Sure.
But I don't have, time is the one thing that I don't have 200%.
Infinite amount of, yeah.
Because if as is another analogy that you'll hear a lot when you talk to polyamorous people, if you have a kid,
Yeah.
and then you have another kid, do you stop loving the first kid as much?
Sure.
No.
Of course.
So if you have 3 kids, you love them all
Right.
the most.
Just trying to juggle the time.
You just have to juggle the time, and polyamory is really the same way.
That makes a lot of sense. What is the most women you've ever been polyamorous with at one time?
Well, 3.
3.
And it didn't last a long time.
It sounds like a lot.
It's a lot of time to manage.
Yeah, it's a lot of phone time.
A lot of phone time,
That's
especially all my relationships right now are long distance.
You ever do the old thinking of you, send all?
That is one thing that I try to commit not to doing that,
Okay.
because it's
Cut and paste the little funny story.
yeah. I try to keep everybody as I try to keep as present with everyone as I can, and not make it a
Full-time job.
Manufacturing line,
Yes.
assembly line, yeah,
Of course.
yeah. But that's a fair question, because there's only so much time in the day, and depending on so scheduling becomes a lot. Like
I would think.
Google Calendar is like the thing that everyone in polyamory lives by.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Google Calendars. I
Yeah.
love it. And
Yeah.
they're booking and
Well, just shared
blocking
house, so like where everybody's at and like what's
Oh.
going on, and you have
Now, do the 2 people that you're with know of each other? Do they know each other?
They don't know, they haven't met, but they know of each
And
other.
that's one of the rules, right? People have to know that you're seeing someone else.
Yeah, well, for me anyway, and I think
Okay.
for most polyamorous people, like if you're thinking in terms of ethical non-monogamy,
Right.
then for me, being as transparent as possible is important.
So can you go out to a bar tonight and meet up with a woman and hook up and go home with her?
Yes.
Oh man, we gotta start a religion. This is
But again, that's not a blanket rule for everyone. Everyone
okay.
has their own rules,
All
and
right,
and
you
some
can.
in my situation I can. Now I try to, if I know that it's likely to happen, I might say, hey, I think there, I sense something brewing here. I might want to let you know that this might happen. I have one partner that prefers that. I have one partner that doesn't really.
Doesn't want to know,
Yeah.
and that
But if I don't, if the partner that wants to know that ahead of time, if the circumstances don't allow for that, then it's okay. She's not going to get mad at me, but we agree that if possible, that would be
it
great.
would be nice
It
to
would be
know.
nice to know.
Now, how with the two partners you're with now, how does the fact that you are in this lifestyle even come up in the first place? You go to a bar, you look across, you see someone. Yeah, I mean, I met some. Is she? Do you think she's Jewish? Do you think she's? I mean, how,
Do you think she's polyamorous?
yeah, you think she's
Yeah.
polyamorous? What, how does that come up? Who's the first person to say, by the way?
Well, let's see. So one partner I met on a dating site,
Okay,
and
not a particular site that would. Okay,
no,
general
a
site.
dating site that anyone can join. I won't say which, but on my profile it says that I was non-monogamous,
Okay,
and the same for her. And so she actually contacted me, and then
okay,
we struck up a conversation. And at first we decided that we would just be friends, that we weren't gonna do anything more than that.
right,
And then we ended up meeting up as friends because we thought, oh, it's always good to have more friends that are like-minded.
sure.
But then when we met, there was chemistry there, and so
Oh, okay. And so to see non-monogamous, that even for me, I'm such a, I feel like I'm 100 years old. I mean, if
oh,
I saw that on a dating thing, I would say, well, what do you mean? It means again, the old school thinking, oh, you're a cheater, but do you guys know what that means? You understand that language?
yeah. And I think that while yeah, the majority of people probably don't. I think that it's becoming more and more common
Okay.
to be aware of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That I think that you'd be surprised how many people are at least like, oh yeah, because I saw this TV show about this or that. Unfortunately, more often than not, well, I shouldn't say more often than not, but a lot, people get the terms polygamy and polyamory confused, and so they think that it's all sister wives and all the TV shows and
Right.
stuff like that.
That polygamy is marrying more than one woman, right?
Yeah, polygamy is the practice of plural marriage, essentially. And it's the Mormon Church. A lot of that was practiced, and so like the TV show Big Love,
Yeah. Yeah.
and those kind of. So a lot of people get confused with that, and then a lot of people just get it confused with, oh yeah, you're just cheating. And there's
You're having fun.
All sorts of things that people labels that people misapply to you
I'm
as a result.
sure. I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's a good question. I mean, as the general, male, whatever reputation, or is kind of like guys are, they like the howl, the prowl. They want to fool around. They're hard to be. It's hard for a man to be monogamous. You hear all that kind of stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
anyway, but this is not that. I mean, there are women who are doing this just as much.
Yeah.
This is a real relationship with a person. This is not a man who simply can't keep his pants on.
Right. Yeah. No. Absolutely. And
Which, by the way, thank you for keeping your pants on while we're.
he's lying, people. Completely naked.
Yeah, exactly.
That was a precursor of this podcast.
That's gonna be the behind the scenes episode. When we
That's
go to
why this is not a video podcast, actually. Yeah.
It's when we go to non-clean on iTunes. I blushed when you said the word sex before. I got all embarrassed. Dude, I got a lot of growing to do. But yeah, it's not a guy thing. It's not I want to have fun.
No, and I mean, if anything, it's more work than that,
Yeah.
and but people have their minds blown a lot of times when you're like, even if they're like okay with it, the first time you're like that you say, oh yeah, I was talking to my other partner about you,
Yeah.
and they're like, wait, really, you talk, they know, like, yeah, I told you, I told you up front that that I'm honest about this stuff, and I'm transparent, and it's all
Right.
there. So
Right. And that's part of it.
yeah, I mean, but sometimes you have to convince people because they have a lifetime of what, I don't mean this in a pejorative way, but like monogamous programming. You know,
Yeah, sure.
we grow up.
That's the way I am. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I think you're supposed to do.
yeah, because, and if you really sit and think about it, it's like, well, why are we supposed to do that? And everybody has their own reasons, but a lot of it is because that's what people told me
Right.
to do, you
It's
know?
kind of, yeah, those are the rules.
And there's all sorts of research out there that shows that, you know, we may not be wired for monogamy.
Yeah.
And monogamy wasn't actually, it really came into practice, and if you can go back and do your research, it really came into practice when we stopped being hunter-gatherers and we became landowners and we started farming.
Okay.
Because if you look at, to this day, a lot of tribes that are still hunter-gatherers, they still have a very non-monogamous way of life.
Really? Okay.
But once it became important to, like, well, this is my land, and now I have to pass this land on so we can keep it and hold on to it, I need to have kids that are mine, and I need to know that kid is mine only.
Right. Right.
You know?
Okay. Okay.
So
I just think it's awesome you think I do research.
Well, for those that are interested in doing research, there's a book that talks about that. It's called Sex at Dawn.
Okay.
And it's I'm trying to remember the author's name right now, but it's all about, he did all of this research about this and how, you know, the chimpanzees and bonobo monkeys and things like that we are most closely related to genetically are not monogamous.
Not monogamous. All right.
Yeah.
I just in my mind I was remembering what your voice is sounding like right now. I put it through the filter and I can't hear it, but I just love the fact that you explained all that historical stuff in that that witness protection voice.
I feel like I want to say, in a world.
In a way. It's just that gray screen where I just see your silhouette. All right, a couple more questions before we let you go about this wacky lifestyle. How does a relationship end? Does it end? I assume they end. And why do they end? Is it just like any other relationship?
Yeah, they end just like any other relationship,
with the exception
that they typically don't end because of cheating.
Okay, yeah.
You know, when people say what is the number one relationship style there is, and people say monogamy, I'm like, no, really, it's cheating.
Yeah.
Because more than 50% of relationships end because of that. You
okay.
know? So typically they don't end because of cheating. Now they can end because of broken agreements.
All right.
You know, they can. There's still, it doesn't give you a license to not follow through with your promises. If anything, you try to live a more ethical life with the person, and you know, nobody's perfect, but
you get to watch sports. It sounds like you're always on the phone with a woman.
I try to keep it on in the background.
Yeah, you're busy.
And sometimes if I'm lucky, I date a woman who likes sports.
Oh, now you're talking. Yeah, there you go.
Well,
that's a good point. Yeah, things in common. That's helped any relationship. Have you ever been in a situation where you're not seeing anyone? And you're just trying to like go up to a woman in a bar and be like, I'm polyamorous, but there's well, you're bad at it because there's no one talking to you.
There is a term called solo poly.
Solo poly?
And but yeah, I mean, you can just like someone can be let's say someone is bisexual, doesn't mean that they're straight when they're dating a person of the opposite sex, or that they're gay when they're dating a person of the same sex. They're still bisexual.
Right.
They have an interest in both. So I think that I can be monogamous. I could date one person.
Okay.
And I could have a monogamous relationship, but still consider myself to be a polyamorous person.
Sure.
Because I'm capable of it. Doesn't mean that I'm living that way.
At the time.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the same way I call myself a professional athlete. I don't happen to be doing it at the time, but you know, really, when I think of who I am. And do you see this? My final question for you: do you see this long term? Is this like for the rest of your life? Even if you were to get married again, it still would be part of your lifestyle?
That's a really good question, and I think about that a lot. I think that the answer for now, ask me tomorrow, it might be different, but I think right now the answer is
I'm not spending the night. Okay.
Sorry. All right, I'll put my clothes back on.
It was smooth though.
No, I think the answer for me is that I I'm capable of both.
Yeah.
I'm capable of monogamy and I'm capable of polyamory. And I think that both are very valid. I don't look down on people who are monogamous or think, oh, you guys are dumb. You haven't figured it out.
Right.
No, some people are not wired for that.
Yeah.
I just think I happen to be wired for both. And I didn't realize it until I got into it. And then once I did, I realized that, yeah, I've always been cut out for it all along. I just didn't know it was an option.
Yeah, well, it's certainly exactly. It's been going on for a while, but in this day and age we live in, it's now has a name. You don't have to hide yourself and be secretive or quiet about what you're.
Well, and to that end.
Speaking of, my final question: why are we masking your voice?
Well, so. I really want to emphasize this is not something that I'm ashamed of. It's not something that I think you should be ashamed of. But the reason that I chose to be anonymous in this is because I do have family, extended family. I have people in my world that aren't really aware of that.
Right.
And it's not something, again, that I'm ashamed of, but I just haven't had that conversation with them. And I don't know that having them stumble upon a podcast that I'm talking about this would be the way that I would want to do that.
Absolutely.
I in general, I'm a pretty private person, and I'm not, this is not something that I hide from people, but I'm also like a need to know kind of person.
Sure.
And so
it's your own business. Yeah.
Yeah. But again, like I do want to emphasize, because it's not something that I'm pretty out about this.
Sure.
To people, like, we talked about it.
We've chatted about it.
But it's not something I tattoo on my head or go around and like carry. I don't really feel like I should be the flag bearer for polyamory.
Right.
But when we talked about doing this seemed to be like a subject that would be interesting to people. That it
totally
might be the most interesting thing about me. I don't know.
Oh, by far. No, believe me. And my friends who I told that I was going to record this for, they were right away, oh my gosh, when is that one coming out? We can't wait. It's certainly a topic that piqued a lot of interest. And given your privacy and your life, I can't thank you enough for sharing it with us, because I know it is. It's a big, it's going to be out there, and I know, I really respect the way you care about it and take care of it.
Thank you. It's important to me. While I don't want to be necessarily a flag bearer for it, it's important to me that I try to explain it and relate it to people in a way that isn't weird or crazy. Or
sure.
There are a lot of people that are doing this sort of thing. Non-monogamy is a lot more common than you think. Various forms of non-monogamy, not whether it be polyamory or swinging or whatever. A lot more people are expanding the boundaries of their relationships.
Yeah.
And so I think that's okay, but it's not for everybody. But it shouldn't be something that is, makes you a pariah or makes you like an oddball necessarily.
Well, like you say, when it comes along with communication and trust and open and all the things that all relationships, good healthy relationships, would have, then that's to each their own. You're doing your thing and you're having a good time. Yeah. As I say, I'm still just trying to keep one woman happy, but we'll see.
Well, I'm happy to give you any pointers you need on how to complicate your life further.
I appreciate it. Just don't start dating her. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Greetings from Somerville. Thank you for listening to our most fun, most exciting, and most interesting episode just yet. Please like, rate, and review us on iTunes. You guys have been so awesome with the responses and people supporting it, and I really am flattered to hear that people are enjoying it. We'll keep on making more, and we'll talk to you soon.